Jackson Lee of Texas, a senior member of the House Judiciary Committee. I'm not sure if you were just able to hear Senator McCain, but he makes the point that in 2012, a district court judge, an appellate judge who is African American, her vote was filibustered 684 days, saying here, if this is about race for Loretta Lynch, was it about race when this judge was blocked by Democrats in 2012?
This is a very emotional moment in history, and I can understand the emotion of Senator Durbin and many others. The key of that is that the individual was on the floor of the Senate, and they were engaged in assessing the confirmation or not doing the confirmation. In this instance, this is the longest in history, as I understand it, in history, that a person who's been confirmed out of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate has not even gone to the floor for a vote. It is extremely emotional, and it is extremely undermining of the constitutional duties of the Senate. That's the claim that I believe stands with great legitimacy, and that is the advice and consent of the Senate. The government cannot work when the president's nominees are not even given that opportunity. And that is what's happening to this distinguished litigator, this servant of the public, having served in the 1990s in the U.S. Attorney's Office at various levels of leadership, and then ultimately being appointed the U.S. Attorney for that region in 2010 by President Obama. This has no basis in the Constitution. It has no basis in fact. There are no allegations against Ms. Lynch, and there's no reason for the Senate not to separate their disagreement over legislation, mere legislation, important legislation, but the legislation by taking and holding this confirmation process up.
Senator Durbin is responding. If you could please just hang on for 1 second, because I want
have to go.
Twice as long as the time taken to confirm Attorney General Holder. Why? In some cases, these nominees had questions that were raised by members of the Senate, questions about their political views, their background, legitimate questions that required time to answer. I sat in the hearing, the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, for this nominee, Loretta Lynch. There were no questions raised of any nature, of any kind, questioning her ability to serve as Attorney General. None. When my colleague from Arizona notes the fact that I have voted against African American women nominees in the past, it is true. And I am not arguing that every member of the Senate should vote for Loretta Lynch simply because she would be the first African American woman to serve in that capacity. All I'm saying, she deserves the same fair treatment we have given to other nominees for this job.
Okay, Congresswoman, thank you so much for standing by here. Is it fair to bring race into this equation, or is this a debate about policy and this particular bill here, this human trafficking bill that contains this provision to block government funds for most abortion?
Tamron, as I said, this is very emotional, and it is, from my perspective, a factor in this. A woman, an African-American woman, we don't step back from that. I think the distinction of what Senator Durbin is saying, and saying it very well, is that that individual was on the floor. There was a filibuster, there was a debate, there was a concern. We don't have even the scheduled nomination of Ms. Lynch to be on the floor. Why did it take 131 days? We could have had a filibuster or a debate or anything. We could have had it weeks ago. We could have had it when she came out of committee. And so the onus and the burden falls on the leadership in the Senate. They have not scheduled her for a vote. We're outraged about that, and we believe that she is being treated disparately, and we don't think that that is both appropriate, and we don't think the Senate is following its appropriate duties, which is the advice and consent. They're stopping the workings of government by blocking the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America. They can't step away from that.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you so much for joining us and sticking around as we took
Thank you for having me.
The
Judiciary Committee right now, so I apologize. Thank you so
certainly.
very much.
We are grateful that you stuck around. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
Developing now, was there